So here I'm trying to explain the difference between server and personal computers. So yeah, it's taking some time to write it. Yeah, so the server is like an which has CPU, memory, and storage. So the memory we call as an the primary storage, and the disk which we have as an a secondary storage. So like an if you can think about like SSDs, HDD, so all this kind of hard disks comes under the secondary storage, and the memory is like an primary storage, which we also call as a random access memory. And CPU is like number of processes uh, in your system, which helps you to uh, process number of requests per second, right? So the more number of CPUs that you have, uh, your requests will be completed in a minimal time. So that's kind of basic. And as I'm trying to explain about the server versus personal computers, server will also have this storage memory CPU, and personal computer also we have storage CPU and memory. CPU, memory, storage in the personal computers as well. So the difference here is like the personal computers is being used by the individual users. Like for example, there is a user called Ram or like user called Hari, right? So these two are the different users who has their own personal computers, and they can do some math, or like they can uh, write a complex uh, problems, try, and then they can try to solve this problem using an computational power. So for example, if we have a two different users, and both users trying to like for example, you have two users and both users are trying to hit the same personal computer, for example, think about it like that. And this user do some math and this user do some math, right? So which will try to consume of your computational power, and in that way the consumption of the CPU and the memory will go higher, like yeah, like this. uh, so at one point of time your server will get hanged, and then it will not get response, will not get any response from this from your personal computer. And then the people will try to stop the server, stop your personal computer, and then try to restart it. In terms of the server, so what's the difference, right? So server, when you talk about like maybe when you buy a personal computer, you will think about like 8 8 GB RAM and then 1 TB of the hard disk, right? But the server is something like maybe it has the same cores, like 4 cores, 8 GB memory, and then 1 TB hard disk. But uh, this do not have any the UI. right? So we do not have like much UI or like desktop kind of interfaces to the servers. Okay, so the operating system is directly loaded to this particular server, like from connecting remotely to this server IP address and then boot your operating system, right? So, and this server will not be handled only with a single user. So for example, uh, in a company, for example, there are like 100 developers who wants to write a code. So this particular will be server access will be provided to these 100 developers so that they can connect to this particular server in terms of like RDP or SSH. So when do you use an RDP? So for example, if your server is having an Microsoft OS, okay, so then you will use an RDP protocol. For example, if you have any Linux-based systems, you use SSH. So, so these are the like in the different ways to connect to this particular server. So the main the focus is here to understand the server and the personal computer. So as I explained, so server will be having a uh, equal resources as personal computers or greater power or greater like in more CPU or the memory and storage, and also like it can handle like a number of users at one point of time. And so Linux is a powerful machine compared to like Windows, and you can see in the uh, current market or in any organization, right? So they are going to deploy their applications into the Linux operating system. Okay. Even though Windows operating system has an like minimal uh, applications which got deployed into the servers, but the masters, like Linux has a overcome the Microsoft servers where it's an open source, and then it will try to minimize your uh, licenses, and then cost saving and the performance was also high. So this is how like one should understand personal computer as a server. And yeah, please share your thoughts. Uh, Thanks for watching.